Hey,
Hi.
can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good, because I was really worried when this first started because my mic had a few problems and it didn't want to work. Um, Welcome to the channel.
Thank you.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. It's brilliant. Um, you are the first colorist to attend a heroic conversation. Um, so what I do want to ask is, let's get straight into it. What does a colorist do?
Well, simply we color. And if you want to get more complicated, I'm using Photoshop, Procreate, Clip Studio Pro, and all those can be daunting, but really, I just learned the basics of each program and apply what I know about painting.
That's
When I went to
brilliant.
the Joe Kubert School, we had classes for oil and acrylic and watercolor, all those, and that's what I seemed to excel at back then was learning how to paint and doing the big illustrated pieces. I had a lot of fun with. So it was easy to apply those techniques, working from dark to light or light to dark in Photoshop. And
So using your skills that you learn with like real life painting, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
canvas, really going for it, and then transferring that into a more digital world in a sense. And
Mhm.
knowing the color theories and the differences and how the tones would go and shadows and stuff. Because I personally, I'm terrible at art. I appreciate it and I love it. I've tried, I can do a basic pencil sketch, but coloring has always been very basic for me. Different shades and stuff. I never really understood it. Um, what's your favorite kind of technique to use when you do the coloring for comics?
Uh, I fall back a lot on working dark to light, a very acrylic approach to things. So when I get my flats, I'll start off and make them really dark, so the shadows are all there from the get go, and then I'll work and try to find the focal points in an image.
Mm,
If it's just Wolverine and he's looking right at you and he's got his claws out, the focal points are going to be his face. His
mm,
teeth and eyes. Are going to be eye catching. His impression, and then of course his claws.
yeah.
You're going to focus on making those as shiny and attractive as possible, and sort of work from there and sort of make it the rest of the image cohesive and make sure your character blends in with the background he's in and all that. And then, of course, you got to consider the mood. If you're working on a book, you got to read the script and make sure you got the right mood going.
That's brilliant. The fact that color can depict such slight changes. So, for instance, a happier comic, I'm presuming you'd use brighter colors and everyone looks quite proud and happy and they're standing up straight and stuff. And you color in these shadows so you can kind of see their angles, I'm guessing. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm presuming a darker comic would have more of like, the darker, more monotone colors, maybe like a very dark shade of a color and they're very gloomy and low. I'm only presuming, obviously you're the you're the
No, you're
expert.
exactly right. We all know it. Even if you're not an artist, you know it when you go watch a horror film, how it looks compared to a superhero film. That it's drastic. Brighter colors versus dark and dreary, or very deep, ugly reds. Sometimes ugly colors are used in horror comics and stuff just to get that sort of make you feel uneasy.
Yeah, yeah. So when you say like horrible colors, what kind of colors would you say were depicted in a horror comic book?
Oh, red versus green.
Hmm.
I was just watching the Predator cartoon that came out a few days ago.
Brilliant.
It was
It's
amazing,
such a good show. It
beautiful.
snuck up on me. I didn't know it was like a thing. I knew the new Predator film was coming out, which I'm excited for, but then I don't know, I just opened Disney Plus the other day and it's just boom. And I was like, what? There's a Predator cartoon? And it's I'm not gonna obviously spoil too much, but oh my God. Sorry, but yeah, quick little digression. I absolutely adore Predator. I think the franchises are brilliant. But yes, sorry. So you're just watching Predator with obviously with the green blood and the red blood and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Same thing happened to me. I was scrolling and I saw someone post about it, and I had no idea it
Huh?
even existed. But as soon as I saw that, I went and found
Straight
it
in
and
it.
watched it.
And it's
But
such a
you could
good
see,
show.
yeah, you could see how the colors I'm talking about. Watch for where the reds are used and where the greens are used, and it sort of helps draw your eye and also sort of feel uneasy during the
Mm.
whole conflict and stuff.
And those conflicts in that show are absolutely brilliant. I know we're talking about the
Mhm.
Predator show, but oh my gosh. It's brilliant. But yeah, no, I can see what you're saying with the ugly colors in a sense, the colors that are a bit more, ooh, that makes me feel a bit, ooh, like slimy, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's, yeah,
yeah.
because thinking about the Predator TV show with those colors popping out, and you're like, ooh, okay, that's, ooh, that's a bit, and I think that's brilliant.
Well, even if you're thinking about the very first Predator film, they're in the jungle, it's all very desaturated and
Mm.
green and wet. And the whenever there's red, it really pops.
Yeah, because it goes against the browns and the darker greens because it's like they did in like the older films. They did like bright red blood, didn't they? And
Hmm.
it was like, bam, there's the blood. So like, there's a scene, isn't there, where it kind of pans slowly, and there's just like a bit of blood there. And you're like, oh no, something's happened. The
Yep.
original Predator films are brilliant, but I could go hours and hours talking about Predator because it's one of my favorite characters in pop culture. I think the horror element, the action element of those are fantastic. But what I'm going to ask you is, have you got like a favorite character you like to color? Is there a character that you like? I love coloring this person in any mood they're in with the shadows and the colors and stuff.
Um, Growing up as a kid, my very first comic was Batman.
Mm.
So Batman will always have a special place in my heart. So anytime I get a hold of him, I'm loving it. Uh, but really boiling it down to a favorite character at this point, I can't. There's just the whole Marvel universe is amazing. I don't think there's anything they give me that I don't love to get my hands on.
And that's
I
awesome.
don't care. Ghost Rider, Hulk, Spider-Man, I give it to me, all of it.
I mean, these characters are such like massive staples. Like you mentioned Batman and you mentioned Ghost Rider and these characters that people have grown up with. And I bet it's exciting as well when you get something. It's like, yeah, we want you to kind of bring these characters to life.
Mhm.
And you get to go, okay. There is one question I still have to ask because obviously I saw the fact that you did the thing. Um, Now with the thing, obviously with the individual rocks, how does that work? 'Cause obviously, if he turns in a certain way, there's going to be some rocks that are a bit different in my head. So how does
Yeah.
how does that work? Do you kind of go right? Okay, this rock is more this kind of direction because he's jagged, isn't he? He's not a smooth. He's not like a pebble. But
Yeah,
yeah, how does
well,
that work?
uh, that's one of the characters I really have fun with. He's sort of a desert stone, very
Mm,
orangey reddish sort of rock looking. And that's what I'll often do is I'll pull up reference from deserts and stuff and find rocks that look like they would fit for him and use that. I have multiple screens, so on over on this screen I'll have a bunch of reference for all those
hmm
rocks and stuff. And then you got to consider the artist you're working with. If someone like Steve McNiven, I can go ham. He's got a very open style, but a very sort of realistic style at the same
Yeah.
time. So I can sort of get photorealistic, and I don't spare any details when I'm working on him. I'll go in
Mm.
and do a lot of really highly detailed rocks. And yeah, you got to consider the angle and the light source and all that. And he takes a lot more time than the other characters.
Mm. That
uh,
just came to my head because I'm just thinking
yeah.
he's got so many different points on him.
Mhm. But if you're
Um,
working with a different artist that someone's like more cartoony,
mm,
I may try to make a even less detail. You want to have a flatter color on those type of things.
yeah,
Like when they give me the hidden gems to work with, like Jack Kirby and stuff, I gotta keep it flat. I
yeah.
don't, I don't add details to that stuff because you want to keep it looking the way it did back
Back
when,
then, yeah.
yeah,
Back
back
when
when
it
I
was very
published
much
it.
just like one guy doing the job in a sense. And it was like, right,
Mhm.
okay, I gotta do this and this. I mean, I see I always pronounce this wrong and people are probably gonna attack me, but the facsimile. The ones where
Sounds.
they reprint old comics and bring them out so people can
Mhm.
have the original comics but in like an updated style so it's not on the thin paper. And you see on the adverts on the back and it's like he's looking for people who can draw. And you have people like Jack Kirby on the back like, yes, we need people to build a team. But yeah,
Oh
the
yeah,
thing, the thing was one I thought about because obviously, like, as we've just gone over, he has got these different points of articulation. You can see the progression in kind of like the art style that's grown. I mean, there's obviously you can tell usually what era a comic book's from, or the era that it's kind of inspired by the way that the characters look. And like you said, with obviously the classic comics, they are very flat looking. They're very not basic, but very of the time. Whereas the newer
yeah,
comics, I mean, like Marvel Knights and stuff like that, that was a comic book series where there was a lot of detail on the characters. But I thought Thing, he was going to be difficult, but I can imagine him being quite fun as well. And it's brilliant
yeah.
the fact that you reference the fact that you look at a picture of like the desert rocks and you look at
Mhm.
that and then go, right, okay, this. And it's kind of like when you do a comic book, then when you do the colors, that means the thing is actually made of rocks, which
Yeah.
is brilliant, which is awesome.
Well, well, that's the sort of delicate balance of comic books is the mixing realism with the fantasy. And
Mm.
the fantasy comes across stronger the more real it feels. So,
No, I 100% agree with that. The more it looks like you could actually see it in person, the more
mhm.
exciting it can be. Like you have these fantastical stories about these gods and all this, and if they look like you could be like your next door neighbor, it's like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll take that in. I'll enjoy this a lot more. Um, Man, I love getting excited about comic books. It's why I love doing this because I get to speak to like-minded people who love comic books the same as way I do. Obviously you mentioned Batman being like like that was your staple and like that was your first kind of introduction. But obviously that's DC. Who was your like Marvel character?
uh, let's see. If I'm forced to pick, like I said, I love them all, really. I mean,
Mm,
they've each got their place. But if I'm forced to pick, it's going to be Wolverine.
mm. And Wolverine and Batman aren't terribly different. I mean, we know that, Wolverine's mask is two Batmen kissing.
Well, I guess visually, yeah, they're both sort of coming across as, scary superheroes. Uh,
Intimidating characters.
yeah, but I think
Yeah.
Wolverine is way more violent
Yeah.
and sort of, I don't know, I guess because he lives so long, you've got this whole different time period to play with when you're working with him.
Hmm.
Um,
You got that history where he's gone through wars and he's gone through really big
yeah,
events and he carries that with him wherever he goes. And I've just
yeah, and he's
noticed your hat.
yeah, and he's more yeah, Wolverine right
Just
here,
noticed the
Deadpool.
hat there he is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so amazing all the movies we're getting and stuff lately.
Mm,
It's beautiful.
it
I
is.
love seeing every one. And the fact that so many of them have been based loosely on a lot of the comics I've worked on is extra
I bet
amazing.
that's really cool.
Yeah, like I just saw the other day the new Spider-Man movie that they're going to be doing
Hmm.
is going to be loosely based on Brand New Day, where me and Steve worked on Mr. Negative and stuff.
Oh
And
man, that's
so
so
that's going to be
cool. That's
exciting.
so cool.
Yeah.
I love that as well because I bet it gets you like you just said, it gets you excited when you see them. 'Cause you're like, yeah, no, they're dragging inspiration from something that I'm part of.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can only imagine when you go and see those films, you're like, oh man, like I can see this kind of referenced here in on the big screen. I bet that's such a nice like vindication kind of feeling.
Oh yeah.
I do have to ask though, because you've got the hat on, did you enjoy Deadpool and Wolverine?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Now,
I'm my friends criticize me all the time because most of these movies I like. I
mm,
I, I don't ever really trash any of them. The worst one I'll still watch because it's a comic book movie for me. It's like I just love that they attempted to bring it to film and on the big
yeah.
screen.
And that's the best way to be a fan. You just enjoy what comes out. Because you know
Yeah.
what? If we trash it, that's when we lose those kind of IPs and those characters that are a bit they feel like, oh well then I don't like that character. It's like, no, we like the character. I mean, I will hold on the fact that I really enjoyed the old Daredevil film with Ben Affleck in. Because I think it's a really good film. It's cheesy and it's corny, and I think that works with comic book films. I don't think they need to be grounded. You don't have to feel, you know, I mean, I know I just said with like comic books where it's like your next door neighbor, when you watch these films, they can be a bit cheesy. That's the beauty of comic book films is they have the range that they can go through. You can go for a serious one. We go for, I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine was a classic example of a film that just had fun. I mean, I remember watching that film and I was giggling the whole time because it was just funny. I enjoyed it. Was it necessarily a great film? Probably not. Was it fun? And did I enjoy seeing all these characters that I love? Hell yeah.
Well, like you
Gambit.
just said, that there's a range to them, and I think that's what's sort of beautiful about it.
Mm.
It can really reflect the team that's working on it, whether it's like you said, Deadpool is super funny and you're laughing through the whole thing, or if it's more serious like Logan was, where it's
Mm.
all sort of raw and gritty and focusing on his emotions and his journey.
And the history as well. I mean, I remember watching Logan when it came out. It was really weird because I watched it late, so I didn't see anything, but I watched it late, and the cinema I was in was actually empty. And I just watched it, and I remember it was such an emotional film.
Yeah.
Like seeing this character, because obviously, being like a naughty's kid, X-Men was massive. X1, X2, you had all these films come out. I grew up with Hugh Jackman being Wolverine. Like I remember the Burger King toy where he's there standing like this or something. And yeah, like there's brilliant little toys that just had like a play feature. I'm pretty sure Wolverine just went like this with his claws. I'll see if I could put a video up or something. But growing up with it and then seeing this heartbreaking take on, I mean, it was kind of was like Old Man Logan, which is a great comic. I love that comic. But then you had this, you felt the pain throughout the film. And I mean, I'm gonna say spoilers, but if you haven't watched Logan by now, then but that scene where you've got the clone and he kills Professor X, and that is just such a because the last person he sees is Wolverine. He doesn't know it's a clone. And it's so
Yeah.
sad. And the bit with the twig, and it's that impact of we've seen his character be impaled and everything and beaten up, and then what kills him is a piece of wood just stabbed straight through him. And that's what gets him. And it's so devastating. And then Deadpool and Wolverine, they honored that. And then made it funny because that opening sequence, I think, was one of my favorite opening sequences. It's
Oh yeah, it
probably
was
on
brutal.
par with like Guardians of the Galaxy, that kind of with the music behind it, you've got the catchy tune and something's going on. But I remember howling at that in the cinema because it's the bit where he does the claws. He's like, ooh, because we don't feel like that. We activate Wolverine claws, we'd all get excited. But yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't know why it was hated. I don't understand the dislike for it. Behind the scenes, yeah, but I'm more interested in the comic book characters. I'm interested in seeing characters that I love. I mean, I love the Spider-Man films, the original Raimi trilogy.
Oh yeah.
But you can see again the difference in eras when it comes to films, just like you can comics. You can see this journey that we all kind of go on together with this is this era, this is this era, this new era. It's brilliant. I mean, I'm a massive fan of the
Well,
fan. Oh, go, no, go on.
with Raimi, such a classic horror director.
Mm,
You see it in the Spider-Man films, especially in the second one with Doctor Octopus. He's he's pulling out all his horror tricks to make Doc Ock come across evil, and it's perfect.
it
And
does
he
work.
comes back and does it again in the Doctor Strange movie. What was it? The
Multiverse
Multiverse of
of
Madness.
Madness. Yeah,
Yeah,
that wonder scene where she crawls out the mirror.
yeah, it was perfect, right?
Oh, you
But that's
got
that's
oh,
exactly what we were talking about, where
hmm
uh, the movie sort of reflects the people that are making it.
yeah,
You're sort of getting their style of these characters.
and as we're saying, it translates with comics as well. I don't know, you pick up a Jonathan Hickman written comic. You know what kind of thing you're getting yourself into. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
You bring up you pull up like a Bendis comic, you know what's gonna happen, kind of thing. You get the vibe. And
Exactly.
it's such a brilliant thing because if, newer people that coming in, and a big thing I obviously speak about on this channel is Marvel Rivals and how that's grabbed so many new fans into the whole arena. Having that and then having like the Winter Soldier and all these different characters that have loads of history behind them, all in one place is like a happy kind of, I mean, I say happy, kind of killing each other, but like a happy environment where it's, pretty and it's colorful. And then you look at these characters, you think, why is the Winter Soldier laughing with Jeff the Shark? But the tonnage and when you pick up these comics, you know what you're going for. So with Marvel Rivals, with these new fans, you see one and they're like, well, I really like Jeff the Shark. You think, okay, so you kind of like the more goofy side of Marvel, like the happy side. And then you start introducing to other characters that have happy comics, but then also don't have happy comics. And it's the beautiful range. I mean, some of the art that obviously you've colored, you can see the difference in the tone of the comic. So what's your favorite genre, I guess, of like when you color it? What's the favorite kind of thing?
um, well, I think two that pop up in my head immediately would be Civil War and Old Man Logan.
Mm,
Uh, in Old Man Logan, it's I got a lot sort of a Western feel to it, sort of like Unforgiven.
mm,
Uh, but also in both Civil War and Old Man Logan, I got to be dirty.
mm.
Uh, and I think that can be really fun sometimes, is when you don't have to be as clean and precise on something, where you could just sort of let loose and let mistakes sort of happen and add to a piece.
Mm.
So both those were really fun when I worked on them. Um, like something I'm working on now, I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about it yet, but it's more of a simpler style. It's more in the range of a battle chasers type thing.
Mm.
So I'm being a lot cleaner. I'm focusing more on the vibrant colors and color balance rather than textures and grittiness.
Yeah, like the dark grittiness, you get to have the vibrance with it. And I
Yeah,
think that's fun as well. I bet that's a really exciting part of the job as well. Like you get to have these completely different things. And does it push you at all? Like if it's a certain
yeah.
vibe, like does it make you go, right, okay, I need to do this. And because of the content I want to do, 100% like right by it. I need it to look like, do you get the image in your head and you're like, right, I need to transfer this straight away?
Well, yeah. I I may have reached a certain point in my career that I'm considered a big name or whatever, but really I'm still just the fan, the kid in Alaska that was reading comic books. And so every time I get an artist uh, on my desk, I'm honored that I'm even being chosen to work on this piece. And that exactly what you said. I want to put everything I can into it and make it the best possible piece it can be.
Yeah.
And and sometimes that's hard. Marvel will send you a different artist every other week. So right when I'm getting used to coloring Adam Kubert, suddenly they're sending me, a Aaron Cooter or somebody else to work on. And you got to be flexible. You got to
Yeah.
realize, like I was saying earlier, are they more of a realistic artist, or do they lean more towards cartoony or more comic book
Yeah.
classics type art? And so you need to know when to push forward the detail or pull back.
So brilliant segue into the next question then. When it comes to variant covers, so obviously, there's an idea where the variant cover is made, kind of what the style of the variant cover is. Now, with the variant covers, do you take it from the cover and the comic, or is it separate? Did you get what I'm saying? So if the comic's dark and gritty, but there's like a more playful cover, do you stick to the playful, or do you add a little bit of dark and grittiness to it?
Well, often with, like you said, these variant covers, um, I'm have nothing to do with the book. I
Mm,
they're probably still drawing it while I'm working on the variant cover.
hmm.
So I have no idea what the interiors even even look like. in
So it's very much
some
just, yeah.
in some cases, it depends. Sometimes I'll get a variant cover and it's to like issue 6, and all the other 5 issues are out. And in that case, I can go to my local comic store or my digital comic app and take a look. But again, most of the time, I try to focus on the artist that's in front of me
Mm.
and whatever the feel I'm getting from the art that's in front of me, and I try to enhance that.
That's brilliant. Now, do you do like this is the one, or do you do like multiple? Okay, this is what I've done. Is there anything like do you send it back off and get notes and change something or?
Oh yeah, yeah. What happens is an editor will contact me, like just before this interview. Uh, Nick Lowe, the editor, Spider-Man editor, sent me
Wow.
an email. He's like, "Hey, Morry, are you available?" And I send back yes. and, and he says, "Hey, I've got two Aaron Cooter Spider-Man covers
Oh man.
that we need done. They're going to be variants later down the line." And he says, giving me a deadline. He says, "You got 2 weeks to get these both done." And so I'll download them. Like I said, I haven't seen. I don't know what book they're to. They're going to be placed later, but it's Spider-Man. He's got criminals hanging around him that are all webbed up. And so I just go off the feel of what Aaron has put in the black and white,
Hmm.
and try to enhance it and do the best I can with it. And when I'm done, when I get it to a point where I'm happy with it, like I please the little kid in me first,
Yeah, of
and
course.
then I'll send it to Marvel, and I'll be crossing my fingers, like it, like it, like it. And he'll send me back an email, and usually I'll get notes.
Yeah.
Sometimes they want some webbing to be highlighted a little bit better. Sometimes maybe it's his eyes that they want a little bit shinier, or maybe I made them too shiny and they want me to tone it down.
Yeah.
That a lot of these editors, they have a good eye, and sometimes as an artist, you work on something for a while, and you miss certain things.
Yeah.
So you get fresh eyes to look at it, and that's where the editor really comes in and is helpful, because he'll notice something maybe you didn't. He'll be like, "Oh, this corner over here is a little too dark. We're going to lose the intricate inks if you
Yeah.
keep it that dark." And so I'll adjust it and then send it back. So there's usually about, I don't know, a day's worth of corrections on any given cover, where there's a little bit of back and forth. And sometimes it's with the artist as well. If
Yeah.
Adam Kubert sees the art and he's like, "Morry, I really love what you've done, but this part here I really liked, and it's getting a little lost." And so you just work with them. That's why it's a collaborative process.
Yeah.
You got to be able to talk with the people you're working with and really get it to the point where everyone's happy. And as soon as everyone's happy, I send the final file to their they call their FTP Herbie, like from Fantastic Four.
That's brilliant. I love that.
So I upload the file to Herbie, and then they send it to the letterer or whoever puts the title on.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. It's called Herbie. I love that.
Yeah,
I
isn't
love
that
how
cool?
it's so cool. The little insider things that I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known that. And I love it. I love, like you said earlier about being a fan as well. I love how everybody that's usually involved in this kind of stuff in this world is a fan at the core. They're all just getting excited about things. And I think it's just a brilliant thing as well, because you can see that. You can see the love, you can see the passion. I talk about it a lot. When it comes to the art and when it comes to the projects people are bringing out, you can see the fan in everybody. And it's such a nice thing to see, because seeing how excited you were getting about Spider-Man and stuff like that, you can see it. You can see the glint of the, oh my gosh, I get to do Spider-Man and professionally and send it to Marvel through Herbie.
Yeah.
Like it's so cool. And it's one of the reasons why I love doing this, because I get to speak about it with people that love it as much as I do. And it's such a beautiful community. Like everybody loves it. Doesn't matter who they are or what their introduction to these properties. It is just enjoyment. And I think it's such a beautiful thing, the fact that there is so much enjoyment with it. Because I mean, I bet people go, "Do you enjoy your job?" And you go, "Hell yeah." It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel really blessed most days. That there are days where the deadline is looming, and you're like, "Oh, I
It's
got to
like
get
it's
this
like here.
done." Then it becomes a job, and the pressure is
Mm,
kicking in. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's all fun. It's really great. And especially like you said, there's a great community. When I
mm.
go to these conventions or free comic book day, there's so many great people
It's
out there
lovely.
that love
Yeah.
comic books and love these characters, and it's easy to get along with other people that share the same dreams and interests.
See, because as you mentioned, Herbie, I love the Fantastic Four. That's the kind of they're the characters that I love. I love the X-Men. I'd love so many different characters, but the Fantastic Four are very much they're there for me. Like they're top bar. So knowing that it's the FTP's Herbie is just oh my gosh, that's just made me so happy. But with the fact obviously you worked on the Fantastic Four,
Yep.
which is awesome because they're such a like a legacy character, like Spider-Man, like Batman, like Wolverine. They're all legacies. They're all this is this property. These are the characters, and they're recognizable. And what I love recently is how much the Fantastic Four have gained in popularity because of the new film coming out. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, the Fantastic Four are great," and I'm like, "Yes!"
Yeah, I'm really hoping this movie does really well
Oh, me
because I
too.
want to see them introduced into the Marvel universe and bring in the X-Men and bring in,
Yeah.
get
I
the
just want
whole
it all. I
universe
want
together.
everything there. It's the
Yeah.
MCU has been beautiful. Apparently, in Secret Wars, their plan is to do like a soft reboot, and I really hope they do it in the sense where it makes it more classic. That's probably
Yeah.
a big ask, but I'd love like the original, like X-Men '97 suits with the blue
Oh,
and the yellow, and Cyclops with the big silly visor, and just
that
have
was
fun with
so
it.
well done.
Oh, it really
It was
was.
beautiful.
It was awesome. And I gotta admit, some of the my favorite scenes from the X-Men like whole media is with Cyclops. I mean, that one astonishing X-Men scene where he takes off his visor and he just goes, "Get off my lawn."
Yeah.
It's so cool. And the whole page is just red. And you got that line from Logan just going, sometimes I realize why you're in charge. And it's
Yep.
brilliant. But then X-Men '97 really sold it with when the Blackbird gets shot down and he's
Oh, the
diving straight down
superhero
and he
landing.
just he
Yeah.
just goes and it just and then just he's so cool about it. Like he just gets up and goes to meet
Yeah.
my X-Men. It's like what? Man just fell from the sky, used his optic blast just to cushion his landing in a sense, and then just calls everyone back to him. He's like, "Yeah, come on, all you flyers." It's such a cool moment, but that's what I love about the comics and about animation. You can have a bit more freedom with it. So, like we said, just and the fact that both of our fingers are crossed. The MCU, I'd love classic suits. We get references to classic suits. I mean, the Loki show, obviously, we had Richard E. Grant as classic Loki. Bring them
Yep.
all in. Give me all the classic suits. I want them all. The MCU suits, their designs are awesome. We've had some really awesome character designs through the MCU. But there's just a part of me that's like, I just want to see like with the Fantastic Four, they've got that kind of classic blue emblem in the chest.
I
Ah,
thought that was a super good choice for
it was
this new
ace.
movie was to
Yeah,
sort of date it. I think that was a genius idea.
because
It, it,
it's
it
set in
looks so good
60s.
that way.
It's like a futuristic 60s vibe, isn't it? The whole kind of
Yeah.
that universe is like the Fantastic Four universe back in like, Kirby days. And it's beautiful because seeing it and going, oh my gosh, look at Galactus. I mean Galactus. I bought the Lego set on day one. As soon as it was announced, I was like, I need to get that because that is such a cool set. And I will admit, I did take the Reed hair off and put Doctor Strange's hair on because I wanted the Grey Temples.
Nice.
But I know a lot of people have been doing it now, and I've seen it. I'm like, yes, because Grey Temples, they are iconic for Reed Richards. I mean, I
Yep.
went to a Comic-Con recently, in the beginning of May, and I went as Mr. Fantastic. And I can tell you right now, as a fan, I sprayed the grey here and here, and I started jumping up and down because it was brilliant. It was awesome. And
Nice.
you just mentioned Comic Cons. Have you got like a significant moment where if you think of a Comic Con, you think this, oh my gosh, this was a moment.
Uh, Lots of them. I mean, I have fun at all the cons I go to. So no specific one really pops out. I go to MegaCon that's here in
Mm.
Florida a lot because it's close by.
And I love that. I got to admit, the US have so many more events and so many more
Hmm.
comic things, and it's so awesome. it does make me very jealous because being in the UK, I get maybe a good five I could probably make, but there's so many little ones that pop up, and obviously starting to do this and starting to speak to more people over the pond, as yourself, it's that kind of, oh my gosh, you guys get so many awesome conventions, like little like, come meet us, we're here, like the free comic book days, over here we had a good few comic people go to nearby comic book shops and it's really nice. And then I look at America, it's like, yeah, you got like art germ, you got so many people going to all these different Comic Con conventions and these like free comic, you're like, oh my gosh, that'd be so cool to meet that person. I
Mhm.
mean, current run of the Fantastic Four, I love all the fact that they're going back to the classic stuff as well. We're getting those classic editions, we're getting the classic covers. And I
Mhm.
gotta admit, I will again reference yourself where I love that spread of all the characters with Doom in the background.
Oh, the
I
one I
love
just
that.
did with Basima.
Yeah, it's oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's brilliant.
Oh, that was so fun.
I saw that, I was scrolling through my Instagram, I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, that looks awesome. No, 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 what's that?
Well,
I'm gonna change that. I was scrolling through my Instagram and thought, oh my gosh, that looks fantastic.
they're
Um,
all fantastic.
They are. They honestly, I love comics. I do. I love pop culture. I love everything. I mean, we were getting excited about Predator and everything.
Well, I'm sort of jealous of you and others that get to do podcasts where you talk to so many great other artists and stuff. Like I said, when I'm at a convention, that's usually when I get a chance to meet people and talk with them. But you get to do it online with everybody.
It is great. And honestly, the way it works is it's just very much just I'm going to shoot this person a message. If they respond, awesome. I've got a few people coming up that I can't say because they're not like 100% confirmed yet. But I'm so excited because the best thing about this is it's not like Marvel or DC or Image or anything like that. It's just boom, blanket. So I've given myself the access to speak to anyone, which I love. And I mean, it's very rare that I talk about myself, like in this sense. Like I talk about how much I love comics and stuff, but speaking to these people that, like 6-year-old me would have dreamt to speak to, colorists and inkers and pencilers and writers of comics and, voice actors and actors. That's a little hint who, people rocking up. You know,
Nice.
so many people. And one thing I've learned and that I'm really, really grateful for, and it's actually made me appreciate comics more, is how many people work on a comic book and how big of a project they are and how many years they take before they're actually released. That blew my mind. Like I was like, oh, comic books, you write them, bam. No, I was under false pretenses there.
well, well, it's different. It depends on what book you're on. Like the one project I'm on that I can't talk about yet, it's got a very big schedule.
Mm,
I've got most of the year to work on these books.
okay.
But other times I've been on Marvel books where I'm getting pages from the inker that night and I have to turn it around and have it ready the next morning, you know. So it's different. It's sometimes these monthly books really put you in a grind.
Mm,
And then also, some books, like you're saying, have a full team of people, but there are the rare exceptions where people do the everything. They
mm,
ink themselves, they color themselves, they write their own stories. Like a Bill Watterson on Calvin and Hobbes.
mm.
He did everything.
I find that mad because when I start thinking about how many people are behind a comic book and behind something, it's mental when someone's like, yeah, this is a self-published, self-made. Like the amount of people that publish, well, don't publish, they like promote their indie comics in a sense, and it's like, yeah, it's just me, and it blows my mind because, like I said, maturing and realizing how much work gets put into these beloved stories is mental. I mean, it's the same as like films and stuff. The more you realize it, the more you're like, oh my gosh, so many people.
Mhm.
But it makes you appreciate it more because you think about the amount of hours and the amount of sleepless nights
Yeah.
that are put into it of people just going, oh my gosh, I've got this deadline, I need to make it. I've got this comic, I've got this comic. And you just got this thought process of right, I need to, because again, as we said earlier, you put all the love into it, you put all the passion into it, you make it something that you'd be happy to see and you're proud of. So when you have these, like you just said, like you get sent at the night, and by the morning you've got to complete
Mhm.
it. Like I bet that's kind of stressful, but also enjoyable because it's like, well, I need to make this the best I can, but I've got this amount of time.
Well, that's, I think, what one of the big tricks about it is keeping your enjoyment of it. You can't let the business end or the deadline or any of the parts that you would view as negative affect you.
Mm,
You know, put yourself in that, 10-year-old me, just really love it, enjoy what's in front of you, try to understand it. You're in many cases, you're the first one seeing this artwork.
mm.
You're the first reader of this artwork. So you got to read it and understand it and then contribute towards it. And you got to let, for an example, I worked on a cover yesterday. It's a variant cover for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Mm.
and it's only the second TMNT thing I've ever done, and it's got Shredder on it, right? So
That's
it's a
cool. That's cool.
big cool picture of Shredder, and that's all I thought all night was like, I'm gonna put on the TMNT movie over here. I'm gonna have my reference up here of Shredder and everything, and then I just gotta think back to when I was a kid and used to wake up Saturday morning and watch these cartoons, how much I love it, and like, let's bring this to life. Let's really make it pop.
And I love that because again, it's that childhood like love for it as well. Because in my head, as soon as you mentioned the cartoon and stuff, all I had was the theme song. Yeah,
Yeah,
dun, 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 and then the van and oh gosh, such a brilliant, and
and the video game was big. The stand up video game that you could have four players on. That used to be back at the theater I used to go to when I was a kid, and we
so
would play that all the time.
so there was a game that I used to play on I think it was the PS2, and it was like a side scrolling one.
Yeah.
And all I can remember is two lines. I can't remember much else. And it was Leonardo used to go slice and dice, and that was his line, and it was like his special move. And then you had Michelangelo spinning his nunchucks in the air and then flying like a helicopter, and he used to
Yep.
go eat feet. And I just remember that. That might not be exactly how it is now. Like I could be completely wrong, but that's how I remember it. And I do have to ask, since we're speaking about the turtles themselves, who's your favorite?
Oh, probably Mikey.
Ah, see, I'm a Leo guy. I love
Nice.
Leo. But Mike is, and oh my gosh, what a thing with Michelangelo as well. With the last is it the last? It's the last Ronin, isn't it? That's what it's called.
I haven't read that book yet, but
Oh,
I hear good things. Yeah.
it's amazing. You should 100% check that out. That is a brilliant book. I will put that out here right now. I loved that comic book because it was
Nice.
so much different to what we used to with the turtles because you get that kind of 90s vibe from them, they go on these fun adventures and but oh my gosh, Last Ronin, if that's what it's called, I hope that's what it's called. Wow. As a fan of the turtles since I was a kid, that was a heavy hitting comic as well.
Cool.
I'm not going to ruin too much because I want you to read it and enjoy it as much as I did. But yeah, and you know what I love about the turtles as well, the fact that it's such, besides their weapons, but with the masks, the bandanas, that's how you identify which one's which. Obviously,
Mhm.
unless they have a little logo on the belt that they used to have. But I find that so brilliant because it's such a simple thing. But now, as a colorist, I'm guessing different areas you'd have to use a darker color, but you can't. Like with Donatello and Leo, I'd imagine, or even Mikey and Raph, you don't want to get the orange too close to the red. I'm presuming because that could happen, I'm guessing. Because some
Oh yeah.
colors look similar and you'd be like, well, that kind of looks not like that turtle now. In my head, that's,
Well, that's definitely one of the major jobs of the colorist is the separation,
mm,
making sure everything is in its place. And when characters are, possibly standing too close to each other, or you have those colors overlapping, you're right. You got to make sure there's enough separation that they read as two distinct different characters.
see, and I think it's brilliant because you have to really think about it. And it's not like, because I don't know, you could have someone out there thinking, well, colorist is like, just picking up a coloring book and just coloring it in. There you go. It's not. There's lots of technicality behind it. And the more we're speaking, the more I'm realizing the fact that there's so many things to think about.
Mhm.
There's so much like textures and the lighting and where they're standing in the room, how that affects what color they're going to be wearing, what kind of genre it is. Lists of colors. It blows my mind how technical all these jobs are. Like it really does. And it builds my appreciation for people that do it for a living. Because I think it's brilliant. I think it's fantastic. Honestly, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's really fun. I think that's what helped me most as an artist is going to the Joe Kubert School and learning how to do everything.
Mm,
I know how to pencil, I know how to ink, I know all the different techniques. And so that, like when I was saying earlier, as a reader, I'm their first reader of their artwork when
mm.
they're sending it to me as a colorist. Before all these thousands of other readers are going to be staring at this artwork, and I've got to read what they've laid down correctly. I got to
Yeah.
understand whether they're going for a more realistic style or a cartoony style or whatever they might be going for. Because a lot of these artists also go to different schools and they're trained differently.
Yeah.
You know, uh,
Yeah.
I went to Kubert school and I meet a lot of other Kubert people out there and we get along great and I cannot really quickly understand their process and what they like. But then I meet other old pros that have learned from completely different people and have completely different techniques. And they may like a very specific old style to their work.
Mm.
And then hopefully you can talk with those people, understand what they like, and then sort of bend towards in that direction to get to the best final product.
And I do have to ask, because obviously comic books, they're not small pieces of art. These big, like these splash pages as they call them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can only imagine how fun they are to do, especially if it's a busy one where you've got loads of characters like all clashing and there's different
Oh
effects.
yeah.
I can imagine how fun that would be, but I can also imagine how time consuming it can be too.
Well, that's with Civil War. That was the big thing about it. Like it was a huge, big, epic,
Mm.
thing, crossover, and had all the characters. And Steve put so many characters into a page, and it was so much fun. But like you said, I'm up. That I was younger then, so I could stay up all night, no problem.
Yeah.
Uh, but I would have to stay up all night to get to every single character and make sure each character gets its due.
Mm.
You don't want to just quickly hide this character in
Yeah,
some
like
shadows in the corner.
here's a blob.
No, every character is someone's favorite. So you
Hmm.
got to treat them all, give them as much uh, polish as you possibly can.
And I think that's brilliant because again, it's that care, it's the passion, it's the fan being inside you going, well, like you just said, one of those characters is going to be someone's favorite character. You want to do right by them, even if they're like this small in like the bottom left-hand corner or something. You want to
Yeah.
do it where people are looking at it and go, wow, yeah, there's my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I spoke to Eric Bra, who voices Moon Knight in Marvel Rivals, and we were saying about
Nice.
Moon Knight, it's a character where he'll just be there. Like he's like a Where's Wally character. And I think when it comes to favorite characters, when it comes to somebody's favorite character in these big splash pages, you always look for them. You see what kind of pose they're in, what they're doing, who they're fighting. You know, are they using their powers? Are they just punching them in the face? Who knows?
Yeah.
It's such a great feeling as well. And I mean, Civil War is such a statement comic. It's such a big comic. You read a Marvel reading order. You go through the comics that you need to read. Civil War is always there in reading orders. I mean, it was a big one for the Fantastic Four. It was big. It introduced Storm and Black Panther to the team while Reed and Sue went off and rekindled their relationship
Yep.
because Reed was a funky dude. Then that's the yeah. I like I said, I appreciate everything. I don't like to see the negatives, but as a massive Fantastic Four fan, Reed Richards in that comic, I was like, what? No, Reed, what are you doing? And then oh, Hickman kind of tried to twist him and made him like, okay, you know what? He wasn't the problem. And I liked that because they kind of not retconned because I guess it was afterwards, but they were like, no, no, no. If it was just Reed, it would have been fine. And I love that. But
Well,
yeah.
that's what's interesting. As a Batman fan, growing up, before I even got into the industry, I sort of knew Batman was sort of all over the place. You know,
Mm,
whatever book you pick up, it his tone and whether he came across as goofy or serious all depended on what art team was working on the book.
yeah.
You know, that a book by Morrison was way different than a book by Brayfogle or something.
Mm.
And so they each brought their own Batman to the table. And that ended up being the main draw for me was
Mm.
like I knew if I picked up a Batman book, not only was I getting a cool character, but I was getting a character that really reflects the artists that are working on it.
That's a really nice
And
way to look at it.
yeah. And
There it
so
is.
when you're looking at FF and all these books, you know, you're going to get a different feel when it's a different writer. And sometimes they take it in a direction you may not like, but that's okay. You know, that little section of story may not be your favorite. You still got everything that you used to love, and you still got possibilities in the future for heck. You may talk to a writer someday. You may talk to an artist someday. Decide that you want to do Fantastic Four. Maybe it's
Oh
time for
wow.
you to do a book, right? And then Marvel lets you do it. Miracle. Suddenly you've got
That would be a
your own.
miracle.
But it happens.
It
Suddenly you've
does,
got
yeah.
your own Fantastic Four story out there, and it's your vision, and it reflects you in it.
Yeah. See, that is something that would be a dream of mine. Just even a one shot. Just a here's just my adage into history. Like there you go. Have a bit of Antony.
Mhm.
Here's my interpretation. I've always wanted to do like in the back of my mind, it's like very much a very classic. Here's a Fantastic Four adventure. They're gonna go and fight Doom. There's the Fantastic Car flying about. They land, they go and fight Doom. It's nothing spectacular, it's nothing serious, it's not canon breaking, it's just a classic, oh, Doom's doing his Doomy stuff. Here comes the Fantastic Four. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'd love to do that. And then it's just that, where would I start? Which leads me on very nicely to a question I always ask people, which is, how did you then, obviously, I know that you went to the school, how did you get into being a colorist? And is there any tips you'd give to somebody who'd want to become a colorist?
Well, my history is I went to the Kubert School,
Hmm.
but every day after school, I drove to Mark McNabb's house,
Oh wow.
and he ran a coloring studio. So he would hire Kubert students that lived in the area as assistants. And so every day after school, I was assisting him in coloring a lot of Marvel ads and stuff that used to
Hmm.
be in like Wizard magazine. And so I was coloring so often, that's what I got good at.
Hmm.
So that would be my advice to anybody trying to get into comics. Whatever you want to do, practice that the most, because I ended up coloring so often. That's what I got best at. And
Hmm.
that's so when I showed my portfolio around, that's what caught people's eye. They were like, hey, we're not super big on your artwork, but we'll definitely hire you because of your coloring. We love your coloring. And so you get in however you can. When I first went to the Kubert school, I sort of had it in my head that I might be a penciler or something,
Yeah.
but I don't pencil nearly enough. You know, when you see these pencilers and how they work, you need to be filling sketchbooks. That
Yeah.
you need to be drawing all the time, and it just happened the way I learned in school and me working every day after school and coloring. I was coloring all the time, and
Yeah.
so that's just naturally what I got best at, and that's what allowed me to get into the industry later. When I graduated, I didn't have a job right away. I became a Mac technician. I used to drive around New Jersey and fix computers for old ladies. But in my downtime, I would go to whatever convention I could. I would go to the comic book store. I would still talk to my friends at the Kubert School and just try to get connections and do whatever I could whenever I could. And eventually I ran into Bart Sears at a convention, and he told me about CrossGen Comics. And that's how I ended up down here in Florida, was to
Mm.
be part of Cross Generation Comics and be a colorist. And that sort of elevated my skills and my ability to get into the industry with that situation. I don't know how much you recall of CrossGen or not, but it was a company that sort of came out of nowhere, and they were trying to compete with DC and Marvel just
Oh
right off the bat.
wow.
But their stick sort of was inviting everybody to Florida to work from a studio. So
Okay.
everybody lived here in Florida and everybody worked in the studio. And so I had Bart Sears, I had Mark Wade, I had Ron
Oh
Mars,
wow.
I had Andy Smith. I was surrounded by a lot of newbies and just legends in the industry. So I got to learn from everybody and sort of watch how everybody, did their process. Uh, and that just brought me to a whole nother level and skill. And when that company fell apart, it lasted about 3, 4 years before it fell apart. Marvel, Joe Quesada flew down personally and like handpicked who he wanted to work for
Wow.
Marvel. And that's how I ended up on the Marvel Knights 4 with Steve.
Seeing Marvel Knights as well. What a printing that was.
Mm-hmm.
I look, you know what? The Marvel Knights printing. I mentioned it earlier. I love the Marvel Knights printing. I think it's brilliant, and it's a comic series, and like with the printing as well, where it's just it because it is the darker tone, isn't it? The printing was here's the characters you love, but here's them in a darker kind of environment. They're brought down. They're a bit more human in a sense,
Oh
and
yeah.
you can see
I
that.
when I first got on the project, I was ecstatic. It was my first time working for Marvel and everything. But with my name, I should say. I used to back when I worked for McNabb Studios, but it was always McNabb Studios signed on
Yeah.
the bottom. But when it was first my name, it was on this four book, and I was so excited, and I loved New York at the time, so that I wanted to bring those sort of New York
Mm.
grays and greens into the book, because that's Marvel. That's Fantastic Four's universe
Yeah.
is New York City.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring those colors into the book, and that's where my head was at around then. It was really make the Fantastic Four sort of this legacy New York, family.
Yes, so with the Fantastic Four with Marvel Knights, I mean, like I said, I love it. I've got the volumes on my shelf. I mean, my Fantastic Four shelf is ridiculous.
Nice.
It's three shelves. It's three shelves. There's a lot of
I've
books.
got a storage unit full of comics, so
And
you're talking to the right guy.
I love it. I love the collecting side of it as well. When you see one like in the wild and you're like, oh my gosh, that's the one I need. And it's just a great feeling. But yeah, with Marvel Knights, especially Fantastic Four Marvel Knights, which, as I keep saying, I love. The colors in that are brilliant. I love Namor's suit in that. I thought that was so
Oh
cool
yeah.
with the little spot of green on it. I loved that, which was obviously you,
Mhm.
which is awesome. So thank you.
Well,
And I can happily let you know that I actually brought that comic to life. So I spoke to the voice actor of Namor, and we did a reading of that comic. That little
nice.
panel where Reed interrupts Sue and Namor at the aquarium. We did a reading of that little section with
Very
the
cool.
Remoras. So feel free to check that out. But that was really fun because I got to do a really bad American accent and pretended to be Reed Richards. So that was good. But yeah, I love the colors in that, and like you said, you really bring that New York gray and green because that's when you think of New York. As soon as you think about New York, you think about right the gray big buildings, but then you've got the green trees, and you've obviously got the reds.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
red bricks, and just the again, not messy, but sort of dirty.
mm,
You want a gritty feel to New York.
a city feel, a city
Yeah,
life. Yeah, And I mean, personally, I've never been to New York, but if it's anything like London or anything like that, it is busy, it's messy, it's loud, and you can feel that in the colors, if that makes sense. You can feel the busyness, you can feel the life in these colors and in these panels where you go, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm just there.
Mhm.
But yeah, so 100% fantastic job. No pun intended. But yeah, is there anything that you want to talk about at all?
Well, follow me on Instagram or check out my website. It's morryhollowell.com. I can't talk about my current project yet, so you'll have to have me on again.
100%. Yes.
Other than that, I'm getting, like I told you earlier, I got some Spider-Man covers I'm working on,
Oh
and
yeah.
we'll see when those come out. But if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see everything I do.
So what I do is I put everybody's socials just under their name here. So yours will
Okay.
be under you. I don't know if you're that side or that side. There we go. If we do this, there you go. Follow our socials. But yeah, honestly, it's been lovely speaking to you about comics and about Predator, which came out of nowhere, and I loved that. Um, Honestly, read The Last Ronin, brilliant comic, TMNT, really brilliant story.
Will
And
do.
thank you so much for bringing these characters that we all love to life.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, and it was a fun discussion. I
You're
hope we
most
can do it
welcome.
again.
100% we'll have to do it when this new project gets announced and we can speak about that.
That'd be
100%.
sweet.
But yeah, you look after yourself, okay?
You too.
Thank you so much.
All right. Peace.
Bye bye.